Welcome back to News Conference. Last week we interviewed Los Angeles City Councilman Jack Weiss regarding his candidacy for LA City Attorney. Today we speak with the other major candidate, Carmen Trutanich. Mr. Trutanich, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me. Let me join you.
The softball question we started last week with, I'll start with you. Your background and why are you running?
I think I have the unique background for this job. I've been a lawyer for 31 years. I'm a litigator, a trial lawyer. Most of the city attorneys in that office know me from my work in court. I was a DA, assigned to the hardcore gang unit of the district attorney's office. I tried death penalty cases, murders, robbers, you name it, I've tried it in the district attorney's office. I also was assigned to the environmental crimes unit of the district attorney's office, where I got to try the very first environmental crime in the state of California, and wrote the jury instructions and started a toxic waste strike force that became the model for all of the United States. In addition to that, I've been in private practice for 21 years. I know what it's like to live by a budget, to make a payroll, to have people rely on you to make that payroll, and to represent clients like the city of Los Angeles. I have defended lawsuits, civil and criminal. I have prosecuted lawsuits, civil and criminal, both state and federal. My opponent, on the other hand, has not even ever appeared in state court.
Now, let's talk about your opponent, because he has made the claim in television commercials that just about everybody in our audience has seen, that your claim that you were the real crime fighter is a bit specious, that you haven't been a prosecutor in 20 years, and during the 20 years, the past 20 years, you have been in defense, and sometimes criminal defense. Respond to that. Is it disingenuous to say I'm the true crime fighter when you haven't been prosecuting for 2 decades?
Well, let me tell you that, first off, I've prosecuted cases, a lot of them. I've tried cases for the prosecution. I left the district attorney's office in the late 80s, 88, 89, somewhere in that area. I've tried every type of felony case you can imagine and every type of misdemeanor case. Tried jury trials. My opponent has had 2 in his career. On the other side of the fence, as a private practitioner, I have prosecuted clients. In fact, my last trial was for a wrongful death, where the 2 defendants in that case are at death row right now, and I received the verdict for the family of the 4 bodies that they left behind of $148 million.
But so you don't disagree, though, that you have engaged in criminal defense, which is a fundamental part of American jurisprudence, we understand.
Well, listen, John Adams, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, were fine defense lawyers. John Adams defended the Redcoats at the Boston Massacre. You have to celebrate the 6th Amendment in this country.
But okay, granted. Let's move on. One of the other attacks coming your way from the Weiss campaign is that as a private attorney, you've had 20 years of litigants and 20 years of clients that the public should know about. Because one of the issues relating to the city attorney's office recently is the number of cases that have been sent to outside counsel, escalating the amount of money the taxpayers have to pay on these cases. Why don't you release your client list for the past 20 years?
Well, first, let me start by telling you this. This is just another false attack in a series of false attacks and a very mean-spirited campaign that he's running against me. That being said, all my client list is public, because when you go to court, the attorney's name's on the sheet of paper and the client's names on the sheet of paper. How do you think he got those names of the clients that he's using to scare people with in his TV ads? You think he has extrasensory perception? He broke into my office and stole my filing cabinet. He went down to the courthouse and got the names of the clients that are public. They're all public. But that being said, let me tell you that, one, it is the duty of the California lawyer, the highest duty, to protect the privacy of their client. The Constitution of California has a law of privacy. We have codified that in the Business and Profession Code that says that the lawyer's peril. And in fact, recently I've had 3 major law schools, Georgetown, Stanford, and Berkeley, weigh in that I am right on this issue, that I must protect the confidentiality of my client. That privilege belongs to the client.
Erwin Chemerinsky, the dean at UC Irvine, says there's no legal barrier to you to release that list.
He is not relying on the law of the state of California. And at the end of the day, I have tremendous respect for Dean Chemerinsky, tremendous respect for him, but he's wrong on this issue.
Let's move on. Gang injunctions have been a fundamental element to the work in the city attorney's office in terms of dealing with that extremely difficult issue at the city level. How have they worked? Because there's criticisms they haven't. And what priority would they have in your office?
You have to remember that these gang injunctions are done in the framework that this is America. And what we don't want to do is enjoin people from associating with each other forever, for the rest of their life. Gang injunctions are important because they can be used as a tool to clear areas for law enforcement to take action in a particular area, to shut down a gang in a particular area. And when you have a gang injunction and you're actually enforcing that in front of law enforcement conduct, the perfect tool. Perfect tool. But we have to give these young men and women who are subject to these gang injunctions a vehicle to be released from the rigors of this. And we've got to do it in a way that it doesn't cost them a fortune to do it. Most of these people can't afford to hire a lawyer to have the gang injunctions removed. They're not very technical, so they can't even take advantage of the programs that are offered without lawyers' help to get removed. We need to be looking at ways to remove people who are not associated with gangs, who have disassociated themselves with gangs, from these gang injunctions. In addition to that, we've got to be looking for alternatives, jobs for these kids, as opposed to hanging out on the streets.
Right. Finding jobs is not the job of the city attorney's office, though.
It's not, but you know what? We can help in terms of special enforcement programs, though. When we have corporate violators of the law, we can structure settlements so as to create jobs to help alleviate this problem. I'm telling you, there was one time in the history of Los Angeles in 1984 during the Summer Olympics where there was very, 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 very little gang activity, and that was during the Olympics because most of the kids that were associated with gangs that had things to do, they had jobs as docents, and they were working behind the scenes at the Olympics. We need to get back to that mentality.
We only have a minute left. In terms of the priority for the city attorney's office, a lot of people don't know what the city attorney does. I mean, he's the chief attorney for the city and chief prosecutor.
And the chief advisor.
What avenues, in your opinion, has this office been underused?
Well, we have outside counsel of $40 million, and we employ 600 lawyers. We need to put those lawyers that we employ on a weekly basis back into the game. We need to stop marginalizing them. We need to cut down the fees that we're paying to outside counsel in this pay-to-play mentality and start putting these lawyers back. They want to do their jobs. The city employs so many fine lawyers that have been marginalized over the years. We need to get those lawyers trained back to speed, give them the tools to be great, because we fight the best lawyers in the world in the city of Los Angeles, and we need to give them the tools to be great and dare them to be great, and trust me, under good leadership and good management, they will be.
Last question. Your opponent says that you have the endorsement of the National Rifle Association, which, to a certain degree, a not very popular organization with many voters in the city of Los Angeles. Respond to that.
I have the endorsement of Steve Cooley, the DA, Lee Baca, the sheriff, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, the Los Angeles Sheriff Deputies Association, the Los Angeles 46 of the 47 police chiefs in Los Angeles County, the National Latino Peace Officers Association. Do you think those people would be endorsing me if they thought I was going to be soft on guns and crime? It's a red herring that he's trying to scare the public with. Don't believe it.
Carmen Trutanich, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck in the campaign.
I appreciate that.
We'll have some letters and emails when we wrap up next.